Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. New England Patriots coming to Cincinnati to face the Bengals, favored by 6.5. Patriots sitting right at the top of the AFC at 9-2. Bengals now 3-7. Over/unders 50.5 per FanDuel. Thank you, Bengals defense. And we've got Joe Burrow as a full participant at Bengals practice yesterday. Are we going to see Joe Burrow play football? Jamar Chase is also out, missing the one game suspension after spitting at Jalen Ramsey last week.
Yeah, which again, absolutely justified. The suspension, not the spitting. Burrow being back would be interesting.
Got a Zach Taylor quote here. Quote, Burrow hasn't done 11 on 11 yet until we get through some practices. There is no reason for me to even speculate on that, end quote. Presumably speculate on whether or not he was going to play. So you only have one more day to do 11 on 11. That's today.
Right.
And then, Friday walkthrough, and then you go. So I think I'm still expecting Joe Flacco, but who knows?
It's not like, it's not like you don't need Joe Burrow to sort of, get to know everybody. Like, it's not,
No, I know. I get it.
I don't know that you necessarily need him to have practiced in order to have him play a football game.
He had a surgery, right? So it's not like Brock Purdy, who didn't have surgery on the turf toe, and it's like, is it going to aggravate? It doesn't mean he can't aggravate it, but they might push him back. And again, they're 3-7.
Yeah.
And we're technically in this spot where it feels like the season's almost over, but they're not mathematically eliminated, and they're 12th in the AFC right now. Can you paint us a picture? Can they go 7-0 and finish 10-7? Absolutely.
Well,
that is possible.
It's also they're in the easiest division to snatch a playoff spot in, right? Because Vegas doesn't have confidence in Pittsburgh. Baltimore's there. They don't look like the juggernaut either. Cincinnati plays them both.
They don't play the Steelers anymore, but they play Baltimore twice.
Right.
So yeah, they could.
They play Baltimore twice. Pittsburgh and Baltimore have to play. Like, there's a world where the Bengals can still not be good and yet also just about cling into this. Like, maybe this becomes the division where somebody snatches it with a 9-8 record.
They're not in the graveyard yet. They're not in the graveyard that's up on the wall.
They are. I mean, even
they're close.
The FanDuel odds to make the playoffs, like they're on the wrong side of that sort of line of demarcation of teams likely to make it versus unlikely to make it. They are unlikely to make it, but they are the sort of, I guess, the second most likely of the unlikely teams to make it. The only team that isn't making the playoffs that FanDuel thinks is more likely is the Vikings. But it's, they're not dead and they're not as dead and buried as their record looks.
So yeah, it's every game's going to be big for Cincinnati, and every game's going to be big for New England as well. Even though on paper the only two difficult matchups that they have remaining are the Ravens and the Bills, they're fighting for the number one seed. They're the most likely candidate to have the number one seed, and so you got to continue to win the games that you're supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's problem is that whatever Joe Burrow is able to achieve, even if he comes back and the offense looks like it did last year, the defense is worse. Aaron Schatz tweeted out the other day that this year's Cincinnati Bengals is now literally the worst defense of all time, according to their DVOA numbers.
I just did like the cartoon eye popping, eyes popped out of my head because I just was reading some of their coverage stats as you were calling them the worst defense of all time.
Yes.
Is this a typo? They're allowing 7.3 yards after the catch per reception.
I believe it. I mean,
I know some receptions. That doesn't mean 7.3 yards per attempt plus air yards because you've got a lot of passes behind the line of scrimmage and the whole deal. But, I mean, that kind of makes sense. You got Colston Loveland running through the defense. You have Pat Fryermuth. I mean, this happens every single week. Darnell Washington just
and like
stiff-armed three of them to hell.
They have like 3 of the top 5 missed tackle players in football.
Yikes.
Like somebody put up a list of, was defensive line and linebacker PFF rookie grades. And like the 3 worst of the Bengals. And someone's like, serious question. Like, did the Bengals actually find the 3 worst, rookie defensive players in this draft? Or is there something about the Cincinnati defense that's making them all look, way worse than they are? But
no, there's something because there's no, it's all bad, right? There's
But
no
that's the thing. So
last week was the first week I think they had some semblance of a pass rush. And then every time they got close to Aaron Rodgers,
and even that made no sense.
So they don't have a good pass rush. They don't stop the run. They can't tackle. And then it's just funny because we talk so much about positional value and you don't want to take a safety high and all that. I mean, I don't think the subtraction of one safety has made as big of a difference for a defense than the Bengals, and that's Jesse Bates going back 3 years.
Yeah.
It is funny how one impact player, some teams can deal with that, and it's like next man up, and you stitch it together. And for whatever reason, the Cincinnati Bengals safety play has been atrocious for 3 years, and now it's trickling down to linebacker play and basically the entire back seven outside of DJ Turner, who's been outstanding at corner on the outside. So yeah, they're awful on that side of the ball, and unless New England turns it over or has their own, makes their own mistakes, the way Drake May's playing, finding the open man, look for Travion Henderson creating after the catch in the screen game, like they should have a lot of success, the Patriots, on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, here's the Aaron Schatz tweet. Congratulations to the Bengals who made it to the bottom. Wasn't sure this week's game against the Steelers was bad enough, but the Bengals now have the worst defensive DVOA ever measured through 10 games. So
who are we competing with here?
The 2001 Arizona Cardinals, the 1979 San Francisco 49ers, the 2012 Indianapolis Colts, the 2000 San Francisco 49ers, the 1981 Baltimore Colts.
We all know how that ended up.
The 1980 New Orleans Saints, the 2016 Cleveland Browns. These were both 0-10 teams at that point. The 1985 Atlanta Falcons. Like, this is the worst defense anybody has ever seen. Like, this is last year's
10 games.
Right. Last year's Cincinnati Bengals defense was a joke to the point where even with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and that offense cooking like the best offense in the NFL, they still weren't able to make the playoffs because the defense was every bit as bad. And somehow they managed to get worse. That's hard to do.
I love how he started out with congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Congrats.
You're the worst defense we've ever seen through 10 weeks.
Congrats to the Bengals.
10 games.
Well, we'll see if Joe Burrow – I mean, the one thing – I think Joe Burrow is better than Joe Flacco.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there. Flacco did have some outstanding games. So there's, let's say, two truths here. There's some games that Joe Flacco had that maybe even Burrow – you can't bank on Burrow doing that every week. Like Joe Flacco had a few games that are much better than what Burrow's put out there. But Flacco – talking about pumpkin games, he threw the pick six last week, tried to throw another one. He wasn't great.
Yeah, that wasn't a great game.
Last week, I think Burrow's at least going to bring some more week-to-week consistency and a heavy T. Higgins game for the Bengals with Jamar Chase out.
Yeah, I mean,
if Burrow's out there, I don't even know who he's going to play.
The defensive performance kind of shows the problem here is that, like, Flacco, I mean, up until last week, Flacco basically did way more than you could possibly have expected him to do. And it still wasn't enough because, like, okay, it was enough to beat Pittsburgh the first time, but then the other games, like you were then supposed to roll against the Jets and beat the Bears, and, you could have had a season that was still very much intact when Joe Burrow was able to ride back. But that defense is straight garbage, so it doesn't matter.
Let's make a pick. Straight garbage, so it doesn't matter. Patriots by 6.5 here.
Why am I going with the Bengals?
I don't know. I thought that might have been a typo for you.
Doesn't seem to.
You were excited about Burrow? Full participant?
No, I don't have a good reason for why I've picked them, but apparently I have.
I'll take New England to cover.
Just make sure I put it in the app that way.
Did you get it at a really good line a few weeks ago?
No,
Harry's also taking the Patriots.
I had only taken the Thursday one. I think that was just an earmark that we were doing that game. I'm okay. Apparently we're going with the Bengals, even though they have the worst defense in history.
My neighbors are coming out to this game. So I grew Dave Lapham, voice of the Bengals. I grew up with his nephews on my street back in Massachusetts. So there's a Palazzolo connection here.
Of course.
There's a Judith Drive. That's my old neighborhood. The Judith Drive connection here where my friends growing up, Uncle Dave, you know how kids lie?
You're
like, oh, my uncle played for the Bengals. I'm like, we were all like, all right, dude. Sure he did. But he did. He was the guard. He was a guard for the Bengals. He's the voice. Lapham is the voice of the Bengals, and I grew up with his nephews right down the street, back in New England. Big connection here.
Good story.
Who are you taking? That is a good.
Told you, Cincinnati.
Let me know in the chat if you liked that story. You taking Cincinnati?
Yep.
For real?
For no reason, but other than the fact that apparently I put it in the app and the
All
document
right.
that way.
Harry and I are taking the Patriots.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.